A Denver school forced to go on lockout after school shooting rumors make their way to social media.
We found out that we were the targets.
And that we weren't the only people that got targeted.
Now law enforcement is changing their tactics to handle these types of threats.
Unfortunately, this is just a new challenge.
Plus, a wave of misinformation targeting Latino voters.
This is blatant propaganda. It's very clear that this is a transparent power grab.
We hear from activists about what they are calling an attempt to suppress votes with hate messages.
These folks made an assumption that they could do scare tactics.
Skies are clearing after the snow. A cold night coming our way.
Good evening and thank you for watching Denver 7 News on Local 3. I'm Amy Wattis. The Latino vote is highly sought after ahead of the November midterm election. It is the second largest and fastest growing voting bloc in the U.S., but how outreach is happening is being called into question. Denver 7's Russell Haythorne looks into claims of misinformation and hate messages being used to target voters.
The flyer in all Spanish hitting mailboxes in the state this week, striking many as alarmist propaganda less than 2 weeks before the midterms.
It was very alarming. It sent chills down my spine, honestly.
Trans woman Ruby Lopez calls the flyer a total smear campaign.
Says Joe Biden is trying to indoctrinate your sons and daughters. There are no trans youth going into their doctor's office and getting a surgery done. That is not happening. That is fear-mongering. Puberty blockers are reversible.
The flyer and a radio ad.
They want to make it easier for girls to take testosterone so they grow facial hair.
Targeting the highly contested and brand new 8th Congressional District in Colorado, which includes Greeley and large portions of Thornton, Commerce City, and Westminster.
We have more Latinos in CD8 than any other district in the state. It made me so angry that this was targeted at Latino families and it was targeted at our trans community.
Polling data suggests Republican Barbara Kirkmeyer has a slight lead on Democrat Yadira Caraveo for that congressional seat. The flyer was funded by America First Legal Foundation, a right-of-center nonprofit formed by former senior Trump White House advisor Stephen Miller.
But Stephen Miller and his dark money backers are going to do everything they can to continue to push this narrative. I feel that this misinformation that's being spread is directly meant to pit the LGBTQ plus community against our Latino-speaking brothers and sisters.
Whether it's in English or in Spanish, the message is still the same, that somehow our progressives are turning little boys into little girls. And that's just not the truth.
I would not suggest to anybody to change your gender unless that's truly what you feel.
We reached out to America First Legal Foundation and have not heard back. Kirkmeyer's campaign said it typically does not comment on outside ads and efforts. Russell Haythorne, Denver 7.
Let's give you some more context here. According to a recent Axios poll, the Latino community is becoming more accepting of the LGBTQ community. This poll was done in partnership with Noticias Telemundo. It finds overall 62% of Latino adults say they are comfortable around LGBTQ people. Those numbers are more supportive by generation. Latinos are split 50-50 on acceptance, but 71% of second-generation Latinos and 76% of third-generation Latinos say they are comfortable around the community. Well, Election Day is just 12 days away, and the outcome of this year's vote could have an impact on a variety of aspects of American life. That includes immigration, education, and women's rights. And younger and diverse voters could turn the tide on these decisions. In fact, Colorado has the nation's 9th highest share of Hispanic voters, 15.4%. And since 2016, our state has seen nearly a 9% increase in the number of Coloradans eligible to cast their ballots. And it's this shifting data that have campaigns switching up their strategies.
Demographics is not destiny. I think, we have heard that for several election cycles, but what actually ends up mattering more is the ability for different groups to turn out, but also the ability for different campaigns to be effective in their messaging, to create compelling arguments that appeal to different segments of the population.
Now, for some new Coloradans and U.S. citizens, this election cycle is their first chance to make their voices heard and possibly participate in the political process in their lifetimes. And they know how important doing their civic duty is for their new community.
So the feeling, the voting it gave me is not only about like, okay, I'm American. So it also that I feel like I be accepted, I be part of the country. I have a repay to this country by this by sending the voting. It's the one of the way that I repay this country because I get so much benefit from this country. And so I believe that the voting is also show you that you be listened, you be your vote be count, and this country give you the freedom to support anyone you want.
Denver 7 is your election headquarters. You can find all of our election coverage right now on denver7.com. Turning to weather, the weather action day may be over, but don't put away your blankets just yet. Meteorologist Mike Nelson joins us now with a look at how low those temperatures are going to dip tonight. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Amy. Yes, the snow is done falling, but not the temperatures. With clearing skies tonight, it's going to be a cold one. This is the view out of the Pearl Street Mall, and not very many people out there in Boulder. It's too darn cold right now. We're down into the 30s already in the Denver-Boulder area, already dropping into the teens up at Leadville. Winter weather advisory continues for the southern mountains for tonight. That will expire at midnight. There is a freeze warning that's in effect for the Denver area. Skies have pretty much cleared over the mountain areas now, and quieter conditions coming in. That's the freeze warning we have in effect for tonight. As far as our forecast moving ahead, snow ends, the skies clear, a cold start to your Friday, a warmer and drier weekend coming up, and it looks like some pretty nice weather right on through Halloween. From the 20s tonight, the coldest night of the season, to we have some 70s in the 7-day forecast. I'll have those details for you in about 10 minutes.
All right, Mike, thank you. A little more than a week after Denver swore in its new police chief, some community members just spent the evening asking tough questions of its new leader. Tonight, the Denver Task Force to Reimagine Policing and Public Safety held a community forum with Chief Ron Thomas. The event gave community members the chance to ask Thomas questions about changes he will make to the Denver Police Department. The leader of the task force says tonight was an opportunity for Thomas to answer questions about incidences where officers have used force in recent years. Events like the Lodo shooting over the summer, where Denver officers fired into a crowd, injuring a suspect and 6 innocent bystanders. Also, the $14 million settlement awarded to 12 plaintiffs after a jury agreed excessive force was used and civil rights were violated.
We really want to see the community's voice elevated in how DPD polices. We know that the union has a very strong voice. We want the community to have a similarly strong voice in how we are policed. Since we're the ones being policed, we want to have a voice in how that looks. If we can walk away from tonight's conversation agreeing that that is going to be the direction, then we will consider it a win.
Denver 7's CB Cotton will have a full report from tonight's community forum coming up tonight on Denver 7 News at 10. Even though social media school threats turned out to be false, their impact was very real to students, their families, school staff, and law enforcement. That even goes for today's threat on Snapchat against Kunz Miller Creative Arts Academy. Denver 7's Bayan Wang is taking a closer look at how social media has changed how quickly news spreads.
We don't believe that this threat is credible.
But that message didn't get to parents before this one did.
And so I've heard from my daughter that there was a school threat of gun violence.
Saying that we were gonna get shot up.
Threats of a school shooting made on Snapchat quickly spreading at the Kunz Miller Creative Arts Academy in Denver, prompting a lockout Thursday morning. Dozens of parents pulling their children from class. We've seen this happen countless times this year across the country amid a series of swatting incidents, including at least 6 in Colorado in September alone. At DPS, not one threat made on social media was found to be credible this year. Experts like Ken Trump, the president of National School Safety and Security Services, says social media has changed the landscape of handling these matters.
Many years ago, school administrators would get the threat, investigate it along with police, find out who is behind it, and send a note home to parents. Today, they have parents on the doorsteps calling the office and ready to pull their children out of school before the administrators themselves have a full grasp of what even occurred.
And that will be a work in progress as schools continue to adjust. Back at Coons Miller Creative Arts Academy,
We have no idea from the school whether we should pick up our children. We just decided to come to the school and try to figure it out ourselves.
the school and DPS did not post messages on their social media or issue a notice to parents during the scare, but sent this message after their investigation shortly before noon.
This is not a game. Look at those people out there trying to get their children.
Bayan Wang, Denver 7.
The future of flying is taking shape in Colorado.
Right now, they're installing the thermal protection system and the landing gears.
We take you inside the Louisville facility, developing the next generation of space travel technology.
So this is going to provide more people the opportunity to fly in space.